Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, welcome you all to the week three of Global Healthcare and Non-Profit Organizations. My name is Dr.NAVANEET Deshpande. I'm going to cover today's portion. The agenda for today's class is life below water, and it includes oceans and conserving the marine ecosystem. The second point, which we are going to see today, is life on land. There is biodiversity and ecosystem preservation. The third topic which we are talking today is strengthening peace and justice, reducing the violence and corruption. Fourth one is building strong institutions for transparency and good governance. The next topic will be fostering global partnerships, collaboration for sustainable goals. And the subsequent topic is integrating the innovation in development and finding smart solutions for progress. The final topic will be interaction of sustainable development goals, how every sustainable development goals is related and interconnected with other development goals of the United Nations, which creates the impact on the society. So to begin with, it is about water and life in the water. So the ocean's role in the global health. Understanding how much important the ocean's vital role in our society as well as the environment. So, as we all know, oceans cover about 70% of the Earth's surface, and which we have learned throughout social studies and geography that produces more than half of the oxygen. So, they play a very critical role in regulating the global climate and weather patterns. So, it is very essential to make this balance necessary for life sustenance. So, this natural regulation helps stabilize the temperatures and reduce extreme weather events. Without healthy oceans, human health and ecosystems would face severe disruptions. Their ability to absorb carbon dioxide also mitigates climate change, protecting both environment and public health. The ocean is a life giver for people who are residing on land as well. Some of the threats which the ocean life as of now is facing is plastic pollution. So most of what we dump in the garbage, it ends up residual in the ocean. So 8 million tons of plastic enters the oceans annually and harming the marine species and entering the food chain in the form of microfibers. In some cases, even overfishing by the fishermen and depletion of the natural resources over there is also harming the marine life. Nearly 34% of the global fish stock are overfished and threatening food security and marine biodiversity. So that's why we feel the natural waters which we normally used to find earlier have been polluted to a larger extent, for which the human habitation has to take a lot of care in the future. Now, there could be 8 simple steps to save the oceans. First is to choose the sustainable seafood. That you have to see that which consumes lesser kind of artificial manures and ditch the car as far as because to make the and manufacturing the car, it has to use the natural resources. So part of which can be reduced by pooling of the cars. In some of the European countries, they have started. In Denmark, for instance, they have started cycle and pooling of the car. Third is consumption of less meat, because over a period of time, it has been proven that if you cut a buffalo, there's a lot of carbon dioxide which is emitted in the atmosphere, which is hampering not only the environment but also the ecosystem as such. The fourth most important step is to shop local. So prefer things which are locally available rather than finding some things which are away in far off places. Then carbon offset travel. So as far as possible, try to use it, nature friendly ecosystem way of traveling, utilizing the renewable resources rather than relying on the fossil fuels. Then, if you are using electricity, switch to LED, which consumes lesser electricity, lesser consumption of such kind of energy. And say goodbye to plastics in every form, utilize renewable and recyclable materials, and reduce, reuse, and recycle. So all these minor steps, how much of negligible it may seem like, and that can carry a lot of weightage for the future generations in terms of developing a better human health conditions as well as for food security for all the masses in the forthcoming future. So marine health as such, actually it is related to human well-being also. As you can see, 3 billion people rely on fish and for at least 20% of their animal protein. So most of the people who are residing in the coastal areas, they rely on the stock or the staple food as fish. Marine degradation leads to contaminated seafood, and this contaminated seafood, if it's consumed, it leads to disease outbreaks. And you have seen in the past also that most of the coastal areas are more prone to viral things coming from abroad. So what happens is the coastal communities face not only the physical problems but also face mental health challenges due to livelihood loss and displacement whenever there are extreme weather conditions. So the collapse of fish populations is also posing a food insecurity and becoming expensive. And if they don't have a cold storage to store, especially in low income regions, that becomes a economic problem. So health impacts are more direct as well as indirect and affecting the entire populations and future generations. So taking care of marine health with fisheries, creation of additional fisheries, utilization of freshwater fisheries is also equally important because that fish being the staple food, it should be managed in a most balanced way. Let's try to understand the economic and health benefits of marine conservation. So, marine organisms provide a life-saving medicine such as anti-cancer drugs from sea sponges and algae. So, down in the oceans, there are so many things which are beneficial for our health, and there is a lot of innovation happening in the medical field to extract things which were hitherto unknown, and they can fight such diseases, including cancer. And preservation for marine life ecosystems is becoming crucial. At the same time, protecting ourselves against the natural disaster in ways which we can recover fast from any natural calamity. So, mangroves and coral reefs have to be protected because they are the ones which are preventing us from facing very depleting conditions whenever there are floods or disaster risks which are coming from the seaside, including typhoons and cyclones and so many other disasters. So mangroves have to be grown over a period of time, and coral reefs have to be preserved for a long period of time. So that gives a cushion effect for the marine ecosystem to survive. Then you have got a lot of efforts in order to make the turtles survive. So there is a underworld, I mean undersea sea turtles, which are which lay eggs over a period of time. They come back again and create next generation. So taking care of the ecosystem and preserving, because their lifespan is larger, even sometimes more than human beings. So we should try to create environment which is not threatening their very existence by a rapid industrialization and making policies at the global level as well as at the national and state level. Then there are international commitments for ocean health. The United Nations SDG number 14 aims to reduce the marine pollution and tries to protect the marine ecosystems by 2030. The Paris Climate Agreement also has stated that carbon emissions to limit, because global ocean warming is happening and 1% of increase in temperatures is mainly because oceans have not been maintained cleanly, cleanliness, because in certain countries like Europe, it appears as though it's very it's like a heaven for them, because there's a lot of biodiversity which they are able to maintain. Even in certain states within India, there's a lot of biodiversity which is still being protected at large. But then there is also at the global level, we have the Global Ocean Alliance led by G7 countries commits to protecting 30% of the world's oceans. So as of now, many countries are trying their best in order to fulfill the world obligations. But as of recent, the United States has come out of that during the Trump administration in the climate change policies, which has created havoc in the European countries. So every company has to assure that it is not causing any kind of danger across the nations and sectors, so that long-term ocean sustainability remains a commitment for the forthcoming future. Then, what all individuals at departmental level, at the organization level, the corporate has to come ahead and spend a lot of money in order to empower the individuals for such a change to happen. So I hope any key insights which you would like to share, you can always type in the chat box before we can move on to another topic, which is about the land. Anything would you like to tell about marine ecosystem or whatever you have felt throughout experience where any project has been undertaken at various places, you can just type it in the chat box for the benefit of all fellow learners. Okay, if not, we'll go to the next topic. Terrestrial ecosystems. That is life on land, including the biosystems and biodiversity, which supports the earth. So the importance of terrestrial ecosystems means whatever species we are finding on the land, they also play a critical role in ensuring that there is maintenance of regular cycles, including global temperatures and vital resources like water. Okay, so having the all the plants, trees, fauna and flora, and ensuring air quality has become a concern. These ecosystems form the foundation of human survival also, and directly influences our food production and food chain. So environmental stability has to be gained over a period of time, and we have to protect ourselves from the damage of deforestation, pollution, and overexploitation, which disrupts the natural balance and threatens the long-term sustainability. The United Nations Sustainable Goal number 15 emphasizes on the need to protect, restore, and sustainably manage these vital ecosystems for the future generations. Now, some of the examples which we have come across previously within India is Project Hangul in 1970, Project Gir to protect lions in 1972, Project Tiger in 1973, Project Olive Ridley Turtles in 1975, Project Crocodile Breeding in 1975, Project Manipur Thamin in 1977, Project Rhino in 1987, Project Elephant in 1992, Project Red Panda in 1996, and Sea Turtle, Project 1999, Project Vulture in 2006, and Project Snow Leopard in 2009, and Project Dolphin in 2021. So government is doing its bit in order to protect, because what is, I mean, people may be assuming that why the tiger has been given so much importance. It is not specifically because only the tiger represents one part of the food chain in order to make sure that all the species are surviving in order to fulfill what tiger wants. So when we say tiger protection, it's not just about protecting the specific tiger species as such, because if the tiger wants to survive, it has to rely on other animals, which is its prey. So in order to create an ecosystem whereby tiger can get its own sufficient food, so that is known as Project Tiger. So it's not that Project Lion or Project Tiger looks at the outside that it's meant only for one animal, but it's meant for ecosystem in which the tigers can easily survive. And there is a lot of balance between humans, and it should not enter into human areas in order to start eating up human beings. So that's also another protection, conservation of humans alongside tiger, and creating conservation. Next, biodiversity and human health. Pollinators like bees, for instance, you can know 75% of global crop production is entirely relying on the bees. So ensuring food security for billions. Soil microorganisms contain soil fertility, enabling health, plant growth, and resilient agriculture. Medicines, including aspirin and vincristine, is originating, which is helping the biodiversity sources. So pollinators are required, that which takes pollen grains from stigma and to have pollination to other plant species. So bees act as pollinators in 75% of global crop production. If bees population is less, that means crop production is getting affected. So in a way, we have to ensure that bees will survive in large numbers, not just separately grown, but in natural ways wherever there are forests. So ecosystems as health guardians. So loss of biodiversity increases risks by bringing humans into close contact with wildlife. Deforestation has to be prevented, and habitat fragmentation are contributing to spread of zoonotic diseases such as Ebola in African countries and COVID-19, mostly in China and India later on. So, but of course, affected US severely. So, what is happening is it affecting respiratory systems, healthy ecosystems, reduce the frequency and severity of the floods. So, if you try to create a good habitat for the natural jungles to remain, we can protect ourselves from the severity of the floods, from the droughts, from the landslides. If you've seen the youngest mountain regions is the Himalayas. So every often we come across that there's a landslide because it's not very stable kind of growth, because the Himalayas has grown basically from colliding of two continents, and then landslides are quite common feature. In order to maintain live species over there, they cannot go on endlessly building the dams. And we've seen Kedarnath example in which there are a lot of floods happening. So uh, in the future, we have to understand that ecosystems we can become the health guardians for ourselves, for protecting both for agriculture as well as for in the general interest of the public health. And there is causes of biodiversity loss. So deforestation and urbanization, as we all know, that approximately 10 million hectares of forest are lost mainly in Southern America and Africa, where they are losing annually because they need agricultural lands. They want to expand agriculture. They want logging. They want forestry, and they want wood and infrastructure development also. Like in China, there is exorbitant development. Like half of the railways are going empty over there, despite having bullet trains and something like that. So they are exploiting. So urban expansion, fragmented habitat displaces species and reduces the biodiversity hotspots. So ecosystem is in danger. The habitat loss accelerates the species extension and disrupts the ecological balance. So pollution in industrial chemicals degrades the soil also. Soil quality is degraded because of the chemicals which are left, and in landfilling areas also, and water quality also deteriorating, further weakening the ecosystem resilience. So climate change intensifies these effects through rising temperatures and prolonged droughts and increasing wildfire frequency. So as of now, even California is having a lot of wildfire. Australia very often faces wildfire. So certain areas are there which catches fire. If it becomes very difficult if they don't have systems in place in order to extinguish those areas. And besides that, there are poachers and there are other people who sneak in, like illegal wildlife trade, poaching. People get away with trunk. I mean, several parts of the animals. So non-native invasive species come from outside. They want to disturb the flora and fauna locally, and they have these kind of combined pressures, which is also affecting in a way because they want to make profits out of selling tusks of elephants and so many other things. So illegal trade and invasions and invading in another country, like Russia invaded in Ukraine, thinking that because since it was earlier it was a part of the USSR, Ukraine was not a separate country. Over a period of time, they gained independence, but now they want it. So invasions also are equally important, that is affecting life on Earth. Human health impacts. So ecosystem degradation leads to reduced air quality, water quality. It is leading to risk of respiratory and waterborne diseases. So you see the newer generations in some form of uneasiness or something like that because of the quality of the crop which is grown is also a reason behind it, and contributing of food insecurity and malnutrition. Mostly in India, malnutrition is very widely prevalent, and there are vulnerable communities who do not have a good number of calories and nutrients in their food, and it all has to be taken care as a part of the goal in order to establish global and regional conservation efforts. So there is a big role for the NGOs and NPOs, non-profit and non-governmental organizations, to play a role to combat the illegal wildlife trade, and they have to safeguard the biodiversity hotspots, conservation areas, the national parks. Then they have to have indigenous land stewardship, there's a lot of fight amongst local population and against the urban people. And Greenpeace advocates for forest preservation, climate change action also. The Nature Conservancy provides reforestation and also sustainable farming. So because India is known for sustainable farming, but over a period of time they started using artificial fertilizers. But again, we have to switch back to the natural manures. And Wildlife Conservation Society conducts research and protects endangered species. And they have got certain protected areas, wildlife zones, and sanctuaries, so that these conservation programs can be critically taken without any infectious diseases spread amongst animals. Because suddenly, some animals are, some deers as of now recently in the city of Belgaum in Karnataka, some deers died. 18 to 19 deers died. Now the person who's protecting it doesn't know where the disease is coming from, because there were less animal husbandry and veterinary doctors to take care of the deers. So policy education is also equally important for the people, and on-ground action is very, very important for the NGOs and NPOs to take care of the natural ecosystem. The Indian regional initiatives are Wildlife Trust of India is one thing which rehabilitates endangered species, like even including snakes, tigers, so many other animals. Okay, and another society is Bombay Natural History Society, does a lot of research on this. Foundation for Ecological Security focuses on land restoration, restoring their land back to their societies, and community-based resource management. ATRI is another organization which conducts research and policy advocacy. Then you've got these local efforts demonstrate how community involvement is very essential, and traditional knowledge, yeah, which is going to help to drive effective and sustainable conservation. So some of the biodiversity in India, you can say February 2 is known as the World Wetlands Day. March 3 is World Wildlife Day. March 22 World Water Day. April 22nd Earth Day. May 22nd International Day for Biological Diversity. June 5 World Environmental Day. July 28 World Natural Conservation Day. September 16 World Ozone Day. September 22 World Rhino Day. October 1 National Cleanliness Day. October 4th World Animal Day. October 13th, International Day for Disaster Reduction. November 21st, World Fisheries Day. December 3, National Pollution Control Day. December 5, World Soil Day. And December 11, International Mountain Day. So all these days cannot be taken lightly anymore, and they have to be celebrated in a sense at every college, school, even maybe at home also. So these are some of the things in a smaller way. It may look like, however negligible, they have to be taken. And there are various places in India like Mansoor and Patankot. So many other places are there which are biodiversity heritage sites. People can visit these sites and try to support in whatever form it is possible by giving clothes or money or supporting ecosystems or even food for some people over there. Like, okay, so in these are preservation of heritage sites, especially the biodiversity heritage sites. It's not historical or something related to particular kind of buildings or such. It is natural heritage sites. Next is biodiversity, economic resilience. So, what we call biodiversity is to grow these resilient crops, those crops which can withstand the pests, pest control, or which can withstand the droughts. So, they have to scientifically understand what kind of crop has to be grown in every season, and climate variability has to be handled. The forest can absorb carbon dioxide and mitigate the global warming, and healthy ecosystem support agriculture, traditional medicine, okay, and eco tourism sectors. So ecotourism is also becoming popular. So you can say domestically, you can say Tamil Nadu is number one state in terms of domestic tourism, whereas Maharashtra is number one in terms of international tourism. So all of which contribute to the economic stability of the region. So developing balance between ecosystem and ecotourism and traditional medicine and all those things, like say instance in Kerala and all those things, those systems are very much in demand, not just for profit but maintaining the ecosystem. And then economic value of ecosystem. So nature based ecosystem generates significant income through tourism and sustainable resource. Forests and wetlands reduce the disaster related costs. So forest is equally important to reduce the floods. Okay, sudden floods you have seen previously, sudden landslides and droughts. cannot be managed unless there is a system to manage it. Response systems are there. Okay, so investing in ecosystem health lowers the long-term costs associated with natural disasters and resource scarcity. So as we know, all know, over a period of time, there's a resource scarcity. We know the population, we know the land size. So obviously, there is a resource scarcity. But how to manage them systematically is our next challenge. So call to action, collective action is what is important. For instance, in Rajasthan, we got Save the Aravali. Aravali is a mountain range in Rajasthan. Okay, they want to have a green wall because there are hot, humid, you know, kind of waves which are coming across from the other part of the mountains. They say it is India's oldest mountain range, the Aravallis, where okay, nearby Saraswati River was flowing at one point of time. And a lot of illegal mining which is happening and deforestation is happening and urban expansion is happening. Okay, then you got the Mumbai Delhi Expressway which is coming, and the animal species in between. They have created a green corridor that so that the traffic will not hamper their movements. So what they must do is to stop illegal mining, plant more trees in large numbers, protect the forest land, and spread awareness. So this is going to save the Aravalis in Rajasthan. So any thing which you would like to share or nearby your city, which is most welcome, request. The poll has to be conducted. Yes. Question the poll. Okay. Simple question. Which state in India has the, this is the question. Which state has Aravali project? Kindly answer the question. Okay. Your answer is considered as an attendance. So request you, all of you, to type in the correct answer. All right. So remaining all only Ernest Paul and Tejaswini is answering. Yeah, Poon Vignesh answered. Rest Anusha, Shalini Nair, Anantamurthy, Nambiar Sundaram, Namita. Yes, Rajasthan is Aravali, correct. Right. Akhila Sheikh Shabana, then majority of you answering. Yes, Mohammed Musi. Fine. This is one of the poll questions. Then we can go easily to the, we can continue answering the poll and we can go to the peace and justice in the world. So what is the third topic is about the peace and justice. Why peace and justice is required for the overall betterment of the health and education sectors, which have been neglected in India since long. Economic growth is growing, but at the same time, health is becoming too expensive. Education also beyond our natural um, means of affordability. So peace and justice are essential pillars for growth, progress, and community thriving. This serves a bedrock upon which the health, education, and economic growth can be built. Without peace, systems collapse under the weight of conflict and instability. So, world over, we are seeing people fighting against each other, countries creating divisive means in order to pressurize other countries, and we have to try to bring about equitable access to resources, protecting waters, protecting rivers, and sharing the proper systems between the states, between countries, and vulnerable populations, fostering trust in institutions. Strong governance, transparency, and accountability are critical. So the governance has to be good, transparency has to be good. Yeah, anybody having any question? Yeah, somebody. Rajasthan Sangeeta is telling Rajasthan. Okay, part of which is Rajasthan, Haryana also, but majority is in Rajasthan. Yes, so fine. Yeah, what we were telling is anything has to be managed amongst various strong governance, whether it's state government or central government or the world level. Strong governance mechanisms, transparency has to be there in order to bring about accountability in creating environments where people can live with dignity and opportunity. So these foundations are enabling sustainable development across all the sectors. So what's happening is there are a lot of people are at the receiving end in terms of the violence. So people still remember what happened in their childhood, basically due to trauma, malnutrition, loss of healthy living, long-term well-being issues at certain places, like in Bhopal gas tragedy we have come across, then Mumbai terrorist attack, and so many other things. The Balakot recently, which has uh, been affected of late, and hospitals are destroyed, medical supplies are lost, healthcare workers are fleeing, and there's lesser people who can take care because there is a lot of displaced population, especially because in large camps they face the poor sanitation, lack of clean water, and inadequate food, leading to widespread malnutrition. So children in conflict zones are especially vulnerable, both physical and psychological harm. So these are the effects which we have been seeing across multiple areas which are prone to such kind of scarcity. So somebody's mic is on. I request you to keep your mic on mute. I don't know. Corruption in healthcare. Okay, so over a period of time, we have seen a little bit of increase in bribes, which all sorts of people are bribing. So we'll have, we have a lot of corruption, including fake doctors. I mean, in the sense of what we call as quacks. So people who do not have the MBBS qualification and also they are practicing the medicine, they are enormous in certain states. Those have to be identified. There are essential services which people without skills are providing. Shortage of also medicines, medical equipments. Poor patients are forced to pay illegal fees, deepening inequality and undermining the trust in health systems. So transparencies and accountability are essential to ensure that healthcare is accessible and equitable for all. Another thing is healthcare access and equity, misuse of public funds. So siphoning of funds, taking loans and distributing it for other purposes like bribes, and purchasing a very expensive medical equipments, and without reaching the poor patients, they're facing unnecessary hardships, and it is creating inequality amongst various masses of the public. So World Health Organization stresses transparency and accountability. One has to reach the larger data set. You have to understand where exactly, in which countries the access is less, and where doctors are less, where beds are less, and where a lot of help is required for many people to work in those areas. So the role of NGO is also promising in certain areas, like non-profit organizations play crucial roles in fostering peace, reducing violence, holding institutions accountable, and doing their bit in order to help the people to come out of the emergency and give first aid, and in conflict zone enter into that, making peaceful efforts in order to bring support and dialogue between various communities across the globe, and organizations like Doctors Without Borders and organizations like in America known as the Amnesty International protect the human rights and amplify marginalized voices. Okay, people who are at the receiving end of the violence. So their work strengthens trust in institutions and help prevent the social conflict. So over a period of time, countries which are facing this quite often, the rich countries in a way are more responsible, but their role, it has to be of that should be of a giver. They should be large-hearted. Okay, India is leading in terms of helping other countries, no matter how they have dealt with us. But then, role of NGOs has been there ever since humanity is able to survive the wars, right from World War One, Two, or even previously. So, building peace through education and accountability is important, like promoting transparency in public institutions, conducting peace walks, and popularizing why peace is important in conflict, especially in conflicting zones. Then human rights advocacy, okay, rights for the children, rights for providing them legal support, helping them with advocates because they are unable to bear the legal costs. All these things helps a longer way in order to make them accountable and bring peace between affected areas, people in the affected areas. So global commitment is required, and governance has to bring about certain bodies, regulatory bodies, and even non-regulatory bodies and non-governmental institutions also. All of them have their own stake in order to bring about peace justice, and strong institutions. So, so what we are seeing is learning about connections is violence reduction is one part. So you have to become strong enough that people are not causing a lot of harm, and at the same time you have to bring about stability and gain control over the corrupt activities and development opportunities. Violence undermines health, education, and economic stability. So one thing is to reduce violence. Second thing is to improve the health and education fields so that it becomes affordable. Then corruption blocks equitable access to services, especially in healthcare and education. So you have to reduce the corruption blocks and making it more autonomous in a way so that politicians will not have a longer reach over that. And reducing violence and corruption creates space for inclusive growth. So when communities are safe, institutions are transparent, people can invest in education heavily. Organizations and corporate bodies can also invest heavily in health and entrepreneurship. So this creates a virtuous cycle of development and peace. So any one plan where you can see a lot of development. Okay, was there has left some. So which state? Okay, next poll question. Which state has the largest number of tigers in India? Which state has largest or highest numbers of tigers in India? The poll question. So open-ended question. Some of them are telling MP. Let me see. Some people are telling MP. The correct answer is Karnataka. Okay. Anyway, this had to be the poll. Correct answer is Karnataka. Karnataka is the state which has got the largest number of tigers in the entire country. Now, coming to strong institutions for sustainable development. Okay, so we need the stronger institutions on one hand and its governance. So, what is the strong institutions all about? Strong institutions not only education institutions, health organizations, law, justice, and equitable societies. So, this is required not only for senior citizens or newborn babies, but also fairly. It should be inclusive. It should be available, like accessibility to the large masses. So, strong foundation is something which is required for social stability. Like, even for instance, if you're creating an expressway or a highway or a subway or a metro, it should be for all. It should not be for some special group of people or only for certain, only for cars or something like that. Okay, only it should be for general public actually. So those countries having the best ways of transportation are considered to be the most developed countries, and not the ones where all of them are owning cars. So without robust institutions, even the best policies, if you have policies in place, but they cannot be able to gain ground unless you have a lot of trust, you have an enforcement group of people who enforce it, and then foundation for development begins. So you have something known as the National Health Mission. They want to reach to the rural level. Okay, so increase from 28% to 32% in rural areas. People seeking care from the public health. Then you got utilization of public health facilities for institutional deliveries increased from 56 to 69% in rural areas. 42% to 48% increasing in accessibility for people you did not get from the government hospital. People earlier used to go only the private hospital. Nowadays, it's expanding. Even Janaushadhi Kendras are also there. So, foundation of health, ensuring patient safety, building patient trust. All this requires not only support of the government but also technology, also multiple players. All this is going to create a ripple effect for the rural masses in India. National Health Mission. And governance has to start with building blocks. So government has to build institutions of resilience, of stability and accountability and transparency, so that their actions speak about themselves, reducing risk of abuse of power. And transparency means open decision making. Information is accessible to all. People are able to participate, monitor what's happening around in their towns and local panchayat level. Participation empowers citizens to contribute in policy design also. People can ensure that they participate at local level in order to create better rules and regulations for themselves. So additional governance values is effectiveness ensures resources are efficiently used for public delivery, whether it's buses, there is mass immunization, vaccination, or distribution of medicines, or ensuring economically available medicines at the nearest place. Equity of vulnerable groups should be able to have access, ensuring no one is left behind. Its responsiveness allows institutions to adapt quickly to public needs and emerging challenges. So challenges are there throughout the life, right from birth to death. Challenges are going to remain, but quickly adapting to the and overcoming those challenges is the need of the hour because of climate changes happening around. So institutions are the ones which can bring about such a change. So one example is Sehgal Foundation, which is a non-profit organization. They enter into rural healthcare, medical facilities, rural, and wherever there is a need, they enter over there. Free medicines and tests are undertaken, and very economical variety diagnostics and care and scanning and all is done and able to diagnose what's happening to the people. Asha network is also one more thing in order to take care of the maternal care when there is a new child being born in the society. Then health communities promoting sanitation, nutrition, whatever. Earlier they used to give uh, milk powder and all those things, and even food supplements, powder and health awareness is being given. So Sehgal Foundation is one such example. And non-profit organizations play a vital role in promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical standards in governance. They act as watchdogs. Okay, then once they monitor this public spending, they should know how much of that taxpayers' money is being utilized in order to fight against corruption. And NPOs advocate fair laws and citizens' rights, raising awareness and encouraging public participation. They provide training programs also for the larger masses and officials in communities, like training once in a, let us say, once in 6 months or like that. So they have leadership training, ethical training, governance training, even IT training, software training, and large awareness, creation of awareness through project implementation, capacity building. NPOs help strengthen institutional resilience and long-term governance issues and outcomes. So equitable access has to be guaranteed through all this public trust. The challenges are: one, people always say lesser allocation of resources. People are striving, they are craving for better access. They want the disparities to be reduced. They want emergency things to be handled easily. They want public confidence to grow. They want the data to be there at their footsteps, at their fingertips. They want to openly share and verifiable data, and they have to have access for even consultation also, free or even at a lesser rate. So challenges in healthcare could be corruption, which is there, which is in India, especially in the private hospital also, or especially in government also around that. And they have to reduce this diversification or siphoning of the funds which the government is giving and not reaching the larger masses. So because there is a poor data systems, unnecessary exploitation and duplicate work is there, which we have to reduce. Decision making, people in the newer generations like you guys who are entering into the system, they can bring about citizen partnership and community ownership. So this is too important. Citizen partnership, community ownership, both are equally important in order to bring about such a change in the health initiatives. Then you got global agencies. They can detect and prevent bureaucratic forms. They have to file the case, RTI cases. They have to see if there is any oversight. Despite having a lot of plans on paper, nothing has been implemented, and private sector is amplifying its requirement, and they're charging exorbitantly. So there has to be some balance between the cooperative sector, which is growing. There is a separate Ministry of Cooperation which is started with central government now. So cooperative sector has been very shining in Gujarat and certain areas, maybe a little bit of from Madhya Pradesh and of course Maharashtra. But then not all states are good in maintaining the balance between government and private. So private people are taking their own time in order to extract a lot of money, which is not good for the general public. So regular financial and performance audits have to be conducted. It has to be in public domain. People should know how much of money is coming inside these schemes and how much of money is going outside these schemes, so that institutional trust is maintained for a longer period of time. And we can see case studies. Okay, so community driven model, local ownership has to be there. Hybrid model, which combines civil society people from civil society from all walks of life, maybe farmer, lawyers, judges, retired IAS officers, all those things. People have to form effectively those committees in order to understand how effectively the governance models are being implemented. Real world example could be India's public health system. Digital health transparency has been showing little bit of improvement. Even in other countries like Kenya's anti-corruption system, they have improved. South Africa's community health enhances local participation in service delivery. Many countries are coming up with their own ways of solving these problems. Yes. So this time, any other person having any other question, please feel free to ask them based upon whatever has been covered so far. If not, we can go on to the next topic. The previous question was Tigers is Karnataka. Done. Okay, next is global partnerships. Now, the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 goals which the United Nations has charted out. These Sustainable Development Goals are having complex issues to solve, like unification of several governments, like people who are at the international level, they want to come to a solution, and NGOs are participating, private sector entities are also participating, local communities are participating. There has to be a collective action from all the stakeholders, which accelerates the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So they have to have a shared expertise, people expert with having 25 years experience and then or more, and people are having a lot of resources. Private entities, companies, large organizations, they can fund for what? For disease prevention, regular diagnosis, infrastructure development, policy innovation. So there has to be policy innovation over a period of time. Next, these alliances are promoting ensure that no region is left behind. For instance, in northeastern regions, they are still not so developed. So northeastern region is facing critical challenges. That's why this is crop up like chicken neck. People are trying to take advantage of being silent spectators over there. So over a period of time, no region has to be left behind. Foster inclusive growth, diverse perspectives, and collaboration has to be required between all these entities, not just NGO or private sector, between international organizations, between local state governments and national governments, between private sector people and local community and collective societies, civil action, civil societies. All of them have to participate in problem solving at the global level for the sustainable development goal, meeting those goals. So, in addition to that, technology also has to be. So, they have to use latest technologies in order to become relevant not only technically but also culturally. So, just developing technically without understanding anything of culture is also of not so much of use. So over a period of time there has to give and take between various departments of the government. So whether it's the health department of the government, education department of the government, sanitation, emergency responses, midday meals, transportation, providing government school buses. If the government also starts providing school buses, then it will be good, but it takes time. So, a role of non-profit organizations in a community engagement has to help the policies, culturally relevant interventions, along with technical assistance and emergency response systems. Now, what is the power which problem is faced by this is your funding is not reaching. For instance, let us say there is a case of hearing impaired students, people who cannot hear properly. The government is spending a lot of money. It has got all machines, but it doesn't have people to how to use those machines for the children. Okay, so for the you can see there are people who are riding these three wheelers, people who have lost their limbs during accident. All people you see every now and then people who are facing those things. It has government is giving that scooter fitted with specially challenged people, but some bulk company comes and manufactures and distributes it, but it is immediately not distributed, so it is taking its own time to process. So that is becoming problem. Decision making processes becoming a problem. Funding gap is also, the funding is there but there's a gap. I'm not telling that public government, like private organizations are not funding. Private organizations are also equally interested. CSR, corporate social responsibility is happening. NGOs are helping, but it is misaligned with overall goals. So it is having power imbalance. So it is becoming long-term problem for health, education, and environmental protection. Okay, so donor dependency is becoming more and more people are depending upon the donors. So this is understanding of unnecessary limitations on the local ownership. People think those who are bigger in order to show it off, like Pepsi Cola suddenly came up and extracted the water and it became a challenge for the farmers. Okay, similarly, some other company comes like nuclear company and that becomes a challenge. So similarly, people at the global level, they have to form certain committees in order to create balance between the powers. Powers in the sense those who have a larger say on the organization. That power imbalance is creating disparity between sharing of natural resources, and there is transparency required in order to bring about obviously digital innovation, real-time monitoring, data sharing, global partnership like using AI, blockchain, okay, cloud-based accountability, decision making, and each and every swift data between saving group, local government, women self-help groups, local health clinic, religious communities, schools, okay, and mobile clinics. So mobile clinic, even for removing a tooth, also like dental clinics are also there, and sometimes weekly visits for diagnosis like tests, blood, BP, sugar, whatever tests are there, HIV test, whatever tests are there. So mobile clinics, each and everything has to be transparent and digitally innovation at the fingertips. You should be having all the data. So, for instance, in African country, they are having this container is there, this large ship container, which is fitted with what solar panel on top, which is having an AC. So what happening is local health workers using tablets. They take this container. It is a van actually, clinic in a van. The patient data and report to central health systems. We can find this example in Africa. Community-led health clinics are also there. Mobile applications are being utilized, and all the for diagnostics, 24-hour support, screening, X-ray, whatever is medicine is being available. Then youth-led environmental campaigns, planting of the trees, giving gifts as plants, then using social media awareness that they have planted, they have removed all the garbage and they've created green environment for themselves to bring about local beautification. All this is community empowerment and local engagement. Now everything has to be seen through the youth lens media. So if you wear the green spectacles, obviously the world will look green to you because other side will always look always green. So people like physical health, mental health, spiritual health, environmental health, all is interrelated. Okay, so all this is bringing about better careers, better finances, development, life balance in which you have fun, spirituality, environment, relationships between people, and our planet, our health, creating World Health Day, celebrating in a big way is important for every organization. Whichever organization you are working, you have to celebrate those days. So that is what is priority and innovating ways of living. Conclusion is we have global partnerships, which is required over a period of time. Okay, and collective responsibility, shared responsibility, and collective action, equal power distribution, transparent funding. Okay, transparent funding, inclusive policy coordination, and local empowerment. All this is important. To ensure long term impact, partnership must be prioritized on trust, digital innovation. So, one supports on the digital innovation, supports trust, trust supports digital innovation, and community ownership by aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 17. Global actors can create scalable, resilient, and equitable solutions that benefit all the nations, especially the most vulnerable nations. Okay, who are the receiving end. So, next question, whether India has reached Antarctica or not. Indian scientists have their base in Antarctica or not, is the question. Yes or no question. Whether Indian scientists have a base, BASA base at Antarctica, is the question. Please answer. Please answer. Yes, correct. Minu Nelson, yes. India is having its expedition, not only expedition in Antarctica, they have a scientific base in Antarctica. Yes, yes, yes. Nambiar, Namita Sundaran, yes. Everybody, yes, yes, correct. Correct. Harini, yes. So in Antarctica, there is a base, a scientific base. Recently, India has also reached there. Earlier, only some like USA, UK, and all these people had reached, and maybe Norway had reached, but now India is also. Next, innovation and social progress. So a lot of these things depend on scientific and inventions and innovations. Okay, what happens is any development, anything which is new, has to be accessible, has to be efficient, has to be scalable. So, from mobile health apps to data driven decision making, innovation enables communities to overcome systemic barriers. Sorry. So, these advancements are especially impactful in underserved regions where traditional systems are failing. So, of course, there has to be significant support for traditional systems also, which have been there since ages. But then, by addressing root causes of inequality and innovation fosters inclusive sustainable development. So healthcare transformation can be there through use of technology, through continuous monitoring, okay, through retail clinics, so connected home, then auto patient access, virtual care circles, open channel experience, intelligent treatments, augmented, wayfinding, seamless financing, intelligent machines, virtual care team, connected, coordinated ecosystems. Okay, so connected care has to be there through WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, SMS, okay, automated calls, okay, and toll free numbers. So you have to call this easily. Patients in remote care, they should have access, and voice based alerts have to be given. Voice based alerts have even to make you remember that you have to take up a tablet in the night, get up and take it in proper proportion. Technology is required. So this technology has significantly reduced what? Preventable child mortality. Okay, so people who are dying in very less age or young age, it has been able to overcome. So life expectancy has grown. India's life expectancy, as I told you in the previous class, was 32. In 1947, a person who lived 32 years old was considered super rich or somebody who can show off that he has lived till 32 age. But now it has increased to around 62. So life expectancy has increased, but at the same time, what has been ensured is quality of life. Okay, quality of life which people are living also has to be more useful and also beneficial for oneself. Then smart technologies enhance the decision making. AI in disease detection. AI is utilized nowadays for detecting of diseases like tuberculosis, diabetes. Early detection is equally important for predictive analytics, helps you to overcome the public health responses, not just for oneself, for the hospitals, for the public health care. AI is being utilized that as soon as there is something spreading, then AI can be used to screen thousands of people effectively at a very less cost, at one fraction of a cost, which used to happen in earlier decades. Then predictive outbreak of monitoring, lab results have to be immediately given. Okay. Then you come machine learning models can be trained across large database, like large language models have been utilized with a better accuracy, statistically good values with low resources with a laptop and something like handheld devices. Where specialists are scarce. All this is why, because lesser, we have to believe that there are lesser people who are specialists. Okay, so in whichever, I mean, even on the fields also, on the farmlands also, people, lesser workers are there. If you go to hotels, hotels are having lesser chefs who can prepare good dishes. If you go in hospitals, you got lesser specialists. If you go to schools, there are very few people who are teaching you good mathematics or calculus, like that only. So smart agriculture is also equally important. Now, what is the smart agriculture means? Drip irrigation, smart farming, agricultural drones have to be used to crop and spraying of pesticides or even the natural manure also. And then field mapping is required, mapping of your measuring the area. Internet of things can be used, soil moisture identification, weather temperature forecasting, and day-to-day understanding the requirement of weather requirement. Then autonomous machinery which can work on their own, because I told you people are less on the fields, people are leaving farming. And climate smart agriculture tech is going to help you. Biotechnology, gene editing is happening. Okay, so over a period of time they can become drought tolerant. These gene, not the human gene I'm talking about only the plant and other species, in which they can become drought tolerant and high yield crops. Then vertical and hydroponic farming, growing crops indoors. Like some people have on water, they have started growing on a little bit of water, and they can grow some hydroponic farming. Then renewable energy, like solar powered energy, wind energy, nuclear energy, and other forms of energy. Then farm management softwares are being grown over a period of time, tracking the finances as well as inventory. Then ponds are created because the water in the monsoon gets lost. Whatever monsoon rainfall you're having, it's not like Himalayas that all the throughout the year you're having water. In southern states, we rely entirely on monsoon. Then if you don't have a pond to store the water, all the water is going as a drain into the sea, in either Arabian Sea or the Bay of Bengal. So what is happening? We should have large ponds, sustainable ponds, in order to do what? In order to store the water for larger irrigation needs and overtake and reach zero hunger SDG. This zero hunger is a sustainable development goal of the United Nations. People should not unnecessarily, they should have precision farming. Then what? They have to improve the market. People don't know where to sell their goods also. These farmers, they can reach a certain distance, they cannot reach globally how this other textiles or other IT people can reach. So food access for smallholder communities is also equally important. So smart tech is there. In the rural villages, you can take tablets in the sense your computer tablets I'm talking about, and solar power clinics is used, and digital health tools. Then you can separate the wet garbage from the dry garbage, and try to recycle, reuse, and reutilize as manure, and without creating a lot of landfilling. So this has to be processed thoroughly by the local municipality and all those things. So smart technologies, the incinerators have to be there, then they have to dispose it of wherever it is required in the fields and whatever. So smart technologies in social development is very essential. Then garbage bin monitoring is what is required. So you have got cloud computing, which is used for how much of garbage is collected throughout the city. It's not simply dumped anywhere, it should be recycled. So no missed pickups and reduced overflows. Waste generation analysis has to be done scientifically by sending it to the lab, by collecting water samples from the tap, toilet, water sample from the recycled water for the gardens, water sample for drinkable potable water, and also you have to try to analyze how much of waste is generated in which area. So waste management and recycling plants have to come up. A lot of people earlier they used to dump in India. So cars, whichever thrown away cars, the cars and spare parts and all was dumped in India without being asked. Nowadays, they are not easily dumped. They have to recycle in their own countries where they were wherever they are making. So there are challenges, and biggest challenge is infrastructure barrier, and who is going to fund these smaller organizations. The smaller organizations obviously are small in rural areas. Unless everybody comes in collective action, there is a resistance to change amongst the people, that they are not easily changing their habits and tastes and preferences. And clear policies required. Government should not unnecessarily struggle every time in order to bring about innovation. Addressing these gaps requires coordinated investment. Investment for private banks, large organizations, World Bank funding, and obviously the central government and state governments, which is calling for inclusive planning. Okay, so last one or two slides, we have to create smart systems. We have to get away with obsolete systems. We have to create community buy-in and local capacity building, partnership between governments, NGOs, and private sectors. Need for long-term investment like training, maintenance, and funding. Having example solar power clinics and follow-ups. This helps in order to assure a newer era whereby peace and stability is guaranteed. Okay, so this comes to the end of my presentation for today. I was telling that last time somebody was asking you for PPTs. So what I'll do is I'll see which I can share in this box. What is this? At least I can share this. Copy the link and paste the drive. Just see if it's downloadable. If everybody is downloaded, access. Oh, that's what. I don't know how to do this access. Access. A lot of time. When it is opening. It's very slow. Sorry, sharing is not available, it seems. Something wrong with it. Yeah, I'll try to do it on another computer. Something wrong with my PC. The channel is question. Everybody is asking. Requesting the access. Fine. As soon as you request access, I'll give the access. Something wrong with this laptop. General access. Accept all. Give access. Anyone with the link. Ah, I've given access now for everyone. I think I have given the access and you are able to download it. Yeah.
Sir, only week 3 we got. Week 2 and week 1
Achha, do
we
you have
didn't
any
get.
WhatsApp group amongst yourselves?
Yes, sir.
You have a WhatsApp group amongst yourselves, no?
Yes.
You put that in your WhatsApp group so that
Okay.
everybody, because it's at least if one person puts, no, everybody can access it. Because I have already given access that anybody with the link can be able to open it actually. Sometimes it, you know. Now you three means who has got it right now? Who was speaking to me now?
Shalini.
You are able to. Because I don't have that. I don't have any WhatsApp or something like that. No? Otherwise, I could have shared there. So one of you can put it in the WhatsApp so that everybody can access that. Once you download it, just paste. You can just paste it. Paste this file into that. All right. So I'm sorry, sharing is not available at that time. Please try later. Fine. Not an issue. Some people who have got it, they can share it. And that comes to the end of my presentation. Thank you, one and all.